let's turn the spotlight on the IRA Club. Not the NRA, the IRA.
Let me talk about the core issue.
Boom. Go for it.
And the core issue is we are set up for a very specific reason, and that is that most people, and understandably so, don't know what the IRA regulation says. It's that simple. The IRA regulation says you can invest for your future. It doesn't say you have to buy mutual funds. It doesn't say you have to buy annuities. It doesn't say you have to buy ETFs. It doesn't say you have to.
Could you buy non-securities?
You can make. Let me go back and say it. The code says you can invest for your future. This is back in 1974 when it was written, took effect January 1, 1975. And the reason that people mostly have mutual funds in their IRA is that mutual fund companies have been very, very good at advertising.
Right.
And so let me tell you what happened. Let me give you a quick history. Back in January of 75, if you were driving around, every bank you passed had a paper sign on the window that said, come in, open your IRA, and you can invest for your future without taxes. And people went inside and opened their IRA. And you said to the banker, because this was the only place you could get an IRA at that time.
At the bank.
Banks. And it wasn't because that was the rule. It was the banks were the only ones that sort of picked up the rule. The
brokerage houses weren't a big thing.
They weren't doing it. And so you said to the banker, "What can I've got this IRA. I can invest, and all the earnings are tax deferred. What can I invest in?" And what did the banker say? You can invest in a bank CD.
Wow.
That was it.
Because that's the product they want to sell.
Only option they had. It was the product where they make the most money, because what does the bank CD do? It locks up that money and it puts it in that bank for an extended period of time. Banks like that. And that was the only thing that was available to anybody.
Right.
And tens and tens and tens of thousands of people bought bank CDs, and because that was all there was in an IRA. Now, that person obviously never read the code that says you can invest for your future.
Why would they waste their time doing that? They got to sell some CDs.
That's right. And so even the guy,
Jamie Dimon, baby.
Even the guy at the bank assumed that was the only thing you could do. It was a few years that went by, and at that time, the biggest mutual fund was a company called Dreyfus. People don't even know of Dreyfus anymore. Yep. They were by far the biggest mutual fund. A smaller mutual fund company called Fidelity kind of picked up this idea of, hey, we could have people put mutual funds in the IRA, and guess what? They're going to stick with those mutual funds for years and years and years, because the IRA is going to be there for years and years and years. That's what
growth.
And this coincided with something else, the 800 number. And
you mean like the 1-800 number?
Yeah. And so the 1-800 number came along. Fidelity really bet the house on this concept of telling people, call the 1-800 number. You can open an IRA online, buy mutual funds.
The 1-800 number, as I understand it from you, Dennis, is like today's Instagram, right? It's like
it's
like
everything.
Free shipping.
You got to know really that.
What do you mean it's like free shipping?
It's like free when you're checking out online and
Amazon or something.
Yeah, free shipping.
Yeah,
the 1-800 number.
Yeah,
it certainly was, because the long distance calls were expensive.
It's a free. Okay, so you can call. You're in California. You can call New York, Fidelity, or Boston at 1-800 for free.
It was a big deal.
Okay.
And so the guy at Fidelity, when you opened the account and you said, "What can I invest in?" What did he say? A Fidelity mutual fund.
By the way, John, do you even know what a 1-800 number is?
Yeah, I tried calling it to get Medicaid.
But like, do you, the idea that it's a free call doesn't even come into your mind, right?
No, I was never told it was a free call. I knew aren't 900 numbers
those are expensive.
Those are expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1-800.
Yeah, and especially late at night when you dial them like usual, John, they're really expensive at that time.
Yeah. All right. I should stop doing that and should get more sleep.
Yeah. Okay, so the point people start calling
and
for mutual funds.
Fidelity sold piles and piles and piles of mutual funds.
So this is the reason why everyone assumes securities are the way to go with your mutual fund, with your IRA.
Because they don't know what else you could do. So let's say you call Fidelity tomorrow morning and you say, I have an IRA with you, but I want to make an investment for my future that is not an equity. They'll tell you, no, you can't. Because the code is very specific on this point. The code says you can invest for your future. It doesn't say there are some restrictions, but there are very, very few restrictions. We can talk about them if you want, but they're not important really for the overall picture. But the code also says that the IRS will enforce any valid contract. So if you look at the contract that you get from Fidelity when you start an IRA, that you look at the bank, that contract says you can invest in anything you want as long as it's something that we offer. In other words, you can now, of course, if you call Fidelity, you can buy, Vanguard mutual funds of Fidelity.
Sure.
But it's sold to you through Fidelity, so Fidelity gets the 12B1 fee. So they get paid to sell that product, even though it's someone else's product.
Okay.
But if they don't make a profit on that product, guess what? It's just not in the portfolio. It's just not there.
Right.
So now let's say you are a real estate, novice and or enthusiast, and you say, I would like to use my IRA money to, I think a good investment for my money is to buy a single-family home, put a tenant in there, the tenant will pay rent, and the IRA will collect the rent.
Whoa, this is possible?
And
I own an investment property myself, a single-family home in the west suburbs of Illinois.
Isn't that nice? And so,
this is a man who does not give a shit about my investments.
And so the question becomes...
I want to put that house in my IRA.
Slow down. The question becomes, is buying a house, putting a renter in that house, an investment for your future? And the answer is, well, of course it is.
Yeah.
So can my IRA buy real property that could be rented out?
You make me wait any longer, Dennis.
And of course, that's an investment for my future. Of course, that's an allowable investment. So if I call Fidelity and say, I want to buy a house.
I assume it has to be a Roth, not a...
Both.
No.
Any IRA.
Thank you.
Traditional, SEP, Roth.
No shit.
Any IRA.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's possible.
Not only possible, it is done thousands of times a month.
Wow. By investors.
Investors,
That know about this option.
Which I assume is not many people. It's Peter Thiel and it's probably his family.
Well, it's no. I can tell you there is well over $200 to $300 billion in self-directed IRAs. So what happens is
in the big scheme of trillions and our stock market is worth $50 trillion. Our bond market is worth $75 trillion.
It's a small tiny. It's great. That's the important point. The vast majority of people have never been told what they can do with their simple IRA.
If someone was smart, they'd open up an IRA company and start getting this message out.
I wish. Well, we spent a lot of time. We spent obviously our whole day waking up time doing that. But look at the marketing budget that a Fidelity or a Charles Schwab or whoever has.
Yes, huge, right?
And obviously
they're going to win.
We're going. That's it.
Yeah.
And to this day, every time we give a presentation, somebody says, "Well, you're not allowed to do that." And I'm telling you, this has only been the rule since 1974.
Wow. Okay. By the way, your background is in education for security regulation. Yeah, wonderful background since you were young. But how did you get into this? What led you to IRA Club?
It's like so many stories. It's a dull story.
Make it fun. Bring Abraham Lincoln in.
Well, okay. Basically, what happened was I worked for I built up a large publishing company, and the publishing company had a 401k, and when the company was sold, we cashed. There you had this large 401k. I happened to know enough about security regs to say, hey, I don't need to keep it because the 401k was all in stock bonds.
Right, you knew security regulations really well.
Well, I knew it, not really well, but well enough to know that this you can do what you want with your IRA. So I opened a self-directed IRA and started investing. What happened was
you tried to pull off a Peter Thiel.
There was no one to talk to. I didn't make as good investments as he did, but there was no one to talk to because I would tell people what I was doing, and they'd look at you like you were growing an extra head or something. And so I started this little club called the IRA Club that were people looking for like-minded people who were self-directing their IRA. And
when was this?
This was back in about 12 years ago. 12 or 13 years ago. And we would just get together once a month and what are you doing and what are you doing and what are you doing?
Like a bridge club.
Exactly. And we'd visit. Well, people started talking to me about, my Aunt Sophie should start one of these. My uncle, Fred should start one of these. I want to start one. Somebody else wants to start one. So I started helping people start them.
Grassroots,
we
baby.
Eventually said, well, I guess this is a business. And so the IRA Club has started. Now we have, thousands of clients and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Beautiful. I love that's a great. So Kasha, how did you work with Dennis prior to IRA Club, or did you get involved after?
I knew Dennis through
Were you
through a
going
friend.
to his bridge club parties?
Checking in at IRA Club every Saturday night.
Right.
No, I met Dennis about 6 years ago through a friend, and I started working 2 years ago. So
Okay.
I travel with Dennis. We speak to hundreds of people all over the country, and we just
what's your specific
educate
role?
them. I am the client's sorry,
Are you sure you work there?
client's relation manager.
Okay,
So
so your
I-
focus is with the clients.
Taking care of the client. Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
And so, so then you met Dennis, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll jump on board and
Sure,
start
yeah,
pitching this."
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, and so like when you're pitching it, do you take this angle that Dennis presented here, or what is more your communication with clients like around this, especially potential clients that are like you're trying to get them on board?
Sure. I mean, definitely, I always ask what their retirement goals are and what sort of investments they have in mind. And what's really important is that with self-directed IRAs, it's important to invest in what you know. So that's usually what sparks the conversation is. We're talking about real estate. We're talking about mobile homes. We're talking about hard money lending, and then they're already out there doing it. So it's just easy for me to connect it and say, hey, did you know that you can use your IRA? And then I explain the process to them, which is
Super
really
interesting.
easy. And so it's definitely, you see that light bulb turn on for that client because they
Right.
had no idea they could do this.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Same here.
And of course, the advantage is that it's in an IRA, so all the money goes to the IRA. The IRA never pays income tax. And so, I mean, you imagine how much more money you're making on your rental property, on your hard money lending.
Because it's tax deferred.
Because it's all tax deferred. And then we're going to say to them, why don't you consider a Roth IRA? It's going to be tax-free for life. And this is how you build
Let's take a step back.
$1 million accounts.
Let's take a step back because I think I understand some of this, but maybe not everyone understands this. Like John, for example, is 22. John,
Yeah.
are you following a lot of what we're talking about? IRA and self-directed. Does any of this make sense?
I'm trying my best.
Well, no, because okay, let's go a little slow. You've heard of 401k. Everyone's heard about 401k, and we all think of it as like this thing that you put money in, and when you retire, you get it. So I think people accidentally equate a 401k as like everyone's retirement account, but that's not necessarily true. You guys keep using this term self-directed, which basically means it's not a 401k.
Well, you know what? We have self-directed 401ks. So, but let me, before I jump to that, let me back up. A significant number of our clients are people who worked for XYZ company for their whole career. And some are, moderate or well or highly compensated individuals. And you've been there 20, 30 years. And you may have a 401k that's got $600,000, $800,000 or more dollars in it. And then, you've left the company. Now, the rule is very, very clear. It's interesting. It's another bit of cheat from the industry, the financial industry.
You said cheat?
Cheat.
It's almost like you've got these decades of experience, Dennis, and you're dropping these truth bombs on us that none of us really actually know because you went deep on this. It's almost like you're teaching us how to make some free money.
Well, it is. First, let's go back for 2 seconds and talk about the tax code.
We've gone back several times. I don't know where we're back in Abraham Lincoln's day right now.
But think of the tax. What does the tax code say?
It's long as hell, man. Don't ask me.
The tax code is very clear. The tax code has a purpose, right? The tax code has 3 purposes, right? One is raise money for, to operate the country. But 2, and everybody kind of blows past these, and this is where all the treasures are, is the tax code is to be used by Congress to discourage people from taking actions that we don't think are in the community's best interest, right? And
number two is discourage people from doing sketchy things.
Right.
Like, what's an example of that?
Tobacco tax. alcohol tax.
Oh, got it.
Exactly.
Use the tax to discourage people from
all the things called sin taxes.
vices, sin tax.
Exactly.
Got
Sin
it.
taxes.
So that's the second purpose.
Right. And the third one is to encourage people to do things that the government
Good
wants
for them
to do. Right.
Okay.
And so, long ago, before you and I were around, the government was very, very concerned about the population. We needed more people in America. We needed to fill up
demographics,
the place,
right.
And so what did we pass? We passed, you got a $600 deduction on your earnings for every child you had. And that was to encourage people to have more children. Well, now, the $600 is not, the amount is not a meaningful amount anymore.
Correct.
But why didn't they keep changing it? Well, because we've got enough population. So what is something that is very, very, very important to our government? And that is that everybody have ample funds when we become seniors.
Okay.
And why is that so? Because if I don't have ample funds when I'm a senior, what am I going to do? I'm going to
lean on the
demand
government.
More money from Social Security.
Right.
We know Social Security cannot put out another nickel.
Yep.
And so there is a very, very, very strong, not lobby, but inside of government push that says we have to keep finding ways to encourage people to have money for their future.
Yeah.
And how are we going to do that? We're going to give them all these crazy tax breaks.
Tax benefits.
And so what happens, unfortunately, is, a very, very small percentage of the people are using these benefits, and the benefit is tax-free income in a Roth, tax-free for life. And, let me just say a quick thing, jumping about, but something about a Roth. If anybody is thinking about doing a Roth conversion, think about your next generation. Because if you're investing successfully with your IRA, you're going to have a lot of money. You're going to buy a lot of houses. You're going to make hard money loans. You're going to do mobile homes. You're going to do oil and gas, whatever it is that you're going to do. The point is, you probably are never going to be able to take all the money out of that IRA before you die. You are going to have money in that IRA at your death. And who's that IRA going to go to? It's going to go to your heirs.
Right.
What is it your heirs inherit? They inherit your IRA. They don't inherit all those itty-bitty little assets. Right? Individual assets.
The whole IRA.
They inherit the IRA. When they inherit the IRA, they also inherit the tax treatment. So if you left them a $2 million IRA and it's traditional, and they cash it in, they sell out the properties and they cash in the IRA, they've got to pay income tax on $2 million. But if you left them a $2 million Roth IRA and they sell it, they have your tax treatment. They don't pay any tax.
Is that right? I would have thought that once a person passes away, the estate tax kicks in.
The estate tax kicks in, but the estate tax is worth $10 million.
Correct.
A lot of $10 million.
So under $10 million, there's no tax.
There's no estate tax, we've got a client. The man had, I think he's had 8 or 9 houses in his IRA. Wow. They were successful, doing well. He never converted it to
all investment properties.
All investment properties, yeah. That was what he did. Other people do other things. I mean, we keep going back.
You keep saying hard money lending. I'm like, I can't wait to hear about this loan shark story.
The reality is that the guy passed away with a traditional IRA. He leaves the traditional IRA to his spouse. Okay. She was the sole heir.
Sure.
She is over age 70 and a half, and traditional IRAs, unlike Roth, traditional IRAs have a required minimum distribution. You must start drawing most of the money out. And so she's drawing money out every year. She doesn't need the money, but she has to draw it out every year. And what's happening? She's getting taxed. And before, when she was married, she was filing a joint return.
Yeah.
But he's gone.
Yeah.
The joint return option is now gone.
Yeah.
And so she's in a higher tax bracket.
She has to pay tax?
Because it's a traditional.
He left her a traditional IRA.
But I would have presumed that the estate tax, once he passes, okay.
So the estate tax is a transfer tax. That's a tax on transfer.
Once it got transferred to her, tax on all prior gains went to zero, and now she's experiencing new tax treatment thereafter. Yeah. Isn't that correct?
Well, that's right. Well, yeah, you have no basis. You have zero basis in a traditional IRA where you have 100% basis in a Roth. I mean, the Roth is in a simple sentence, the Roth is the best gift Congress has ever given to the average taxpayer. Period.
Tax-free for life.
Tax-free for life and the life of your heirs.
Okay, got it. So a person whose spouse dies, they still will have to pay tax in that
If it's a
inherits a traditional IRA.
in a traditional IRA.
When they start taking funds out.
As they start taking funds out, right? Got it.
But if Dad left you a Roth,
Zip.
thank you, Dad.
Zip. You pay zip. Got it. Okay. Now, you were talking about treasure, like little treasures and little things.
This is the point that I want to talk about. Here's the conversation. All these are old rules. These are rules for that have been around for decades and decades, and that everybody can make lots and lots of money with. What's wrong with our system? What's wrong with our system is the only thing that people know about IRAs, 401ks, etc., are what the salesperson told them.
Yes, at Fidelity or Schwab or wherever.
And the salesperson isn't there to sell IRAs, 401ks. He's there to sell mutual funds.
Yes.
That's what's on his report at the end of the day. How many mutual funds did I sell? How many stocks did I sell? How many? And so they're not going to bother talking about, look, if you do a Roth conversion, this is what's going to happen to your heirs. They're not going to talk about, you spent your whole career working for this timber company, and you know a lot about timber acquisition, the value of timber, and picking timberland. Why don't you use your IRA to buy timberland and sell logging rights? And you could make lots of money because that's what you know. Right. And that's perfectly okay. That's an investment for your future.
Right.
But I sell mutual funds. I'm going to say you ought to buy the mutual funds.
Exactly, of course. So you're saying, so now to go back a step, we're talking about the tax code and it's designed for what, and how there's treasures. And basically you're saying, average person, this is free money. This is money on the table. And so help us understand, I think you just did, but let's tease it out a little bit more and just take it apart a little more. How would a person pick up that free money they're leaving on the table? If a person was a smart investor in real estate or logging rights or whatever, maybe they're a doctor that owns their commercial property office, or a doctor that owns their business. Yeah. Can all of that go potentially in their IRA, and that's how they're leaving money on the table?
Well, they're leaving money on the table because they're not simply just aware, and nobody has told them. And it is not in your best interest if you're a Fidelity salesman or a equitable salesperson. Not equitable. Equitable's gone. AXA is the replacement company. But if you work for AXA and you come to my house and what is it you want to sell more than anything?
AXA products.
An annuity.
Right.
That's the biggest commission, right?
Right.
And you know what? Damn it, you can put an annuity in an IRA. So he'll say, oh, I see you have an IRA. Let's eat up all that money with an annuity. I get a big commission. He is not, that's the only thing he cares about is his commission.
Full agreement.
He has no motivation to tell you anything that, you don't need to do an annuity because I'm hawking it. You could do, you are an expert in this or that or this. You can do that. So let's talk about prohibitive transactions because you've touched on a couple of prohibitive transactions. Well, there are only a few.
Before you do that, the specific thing I want to go attack is the money being the free money that's there. How to make that? How to make that bread? How to make that cheddar? How to get that? How to capture the cash that people aren't capturing?
Well, first is even before you're starting to invest, if your job offers any sort of retirement plan. So what we always say 401k, but there's also 403b, 457, TSP if you're working for the government. So there's a lot of different plans that employers offer to their employees that a lot of people do not take advantage of. And I've worked for those companies where you're starting, you're doing your paperwork, you're just getting set up and you're just checking off a box. And so you're not really understanding what you're signing up for. What are the true benefits? How much should I contribute out of my own paycheck? Is my employer matching 50%? Is my employer matching 100%? And so, when you're young and you don't really know what IRAs are and 401ks are, it's going to be hard for you to make those decisions. So I think it starts with really kind of understanding what is your employer offering. Am I able to put aside money in my 401k and at the same time maybe a Roth IRA to start growing that?
Right.
So, if you've worked for a company for 5 years, 4 years, 15 years, that's going to start growing just from you putting money into it and your employer matching.
Makes total sense. Let's now jump to the point where the person gets a little smart because he joins IRA Club and he's like, all right, maybe I'm going to buy a 2-flat property in Logan Square. or maybe I'm a doctor who owns my practice, or I own my own commercial office. And how can that guy?
And that's why I want to pause and do a prohibitive transactions just for a minute.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That will.
They'll clear a couple things up.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So the prohibited transactions are, and there's very few. One is, and the one that you keep hitting upon is the most obvious, and that is no self-dealing.
No self-dealing. What does that mean?
That the Internal Revenue Service realizes that it's very, very, very complex and very difficult to tear apart. If I own this business over here, this thing, and part of it is mine, and part of it is so it's my business, and so I'm a doctor, and I bought the building that my office is in with my IRA. Okay, now I have a great idea. Why don't my IRA overcharge me rent, reduce my income? So the IRA, which is a Roth, is building up cash like crazy, and my income appears low, so my taxes are low. So the IRS says, wait a second, let's not start, what's fair and what's not fair. Just say no self-dealing. So if you are, you talk about the house that you already own, and the only way the IRA could own that house would be to buy that house from you.
The IRA would have to buy the house from you.
You can't just put it into the IRA. It can't just appear there.
Okay.
So the IRA would have to buy the house from you. And because...
Is that possible?
And no, it's not, because that would be self-dealing.
Okay.
So if I own a house, if somebody else owns a house, your IRA could buy that house. So there are people that you can't buy from yourself. And then any people that the IRS thinks you control. And who do they think you control?
By the way, what does self-dealing specifically mean? It means I work in that doctor's office?
Well, if you're an employee, if you're just an employee, you're fine. But if you have management control,
right? Okay.
Or business control,
I'm on the board or whatever.
You're board,
if you would receive any sort of benefit from this transaction,
So
if it's benefiting your company, if it's benefiting you. You can't live in that house. Again, it's for an investment purpose.
Okay, so if I was to buy a doctor's office where a bunch of doctors work,
yes,
that's fine.
Absolutely.
Totally legit.
Totally good.
Got it.
Totally good. That's a great investment.
Okay, and then I currently own an investment property in the western suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Would I be able to move that? No, it's too late now, right?
Well, it's too late because it's self-dealing, and you know why the IRS is doing it, and the IRS is right. They're saying is, wait a second, he's got this property over here. The property has a market value of $400,000. He wants to put it in his IRA. His IRA's got to buy it, and his IRA only has $100,000. He says, "Oh, I sold the IRA for $100,000."
Got it.
It's just
shady.
When you self deal, there's so many
Super
opportunities.
Shady. Okay. Now, if I can go back in time. At the closing
start the
table,
IRA first, and then buy the house.
When I go
with
to
your IRA.
Chicago Title to the closing of that house, that's when the transaction will take place inside the IRA, and then all rent that comes in
goes to the IRA.
Yes.
Goes to the IRA,
tax free,
and it's tax free.
Well, of course, because two things. One is we're stuck on houses here, but the rental income always goes to the owner. If the owner is the IRA, the rent goes to the IRA.
And then it sits in the IRA account.
Well, or you're going to start doing something else with it. But number two, let me go on. Who pays the expenses and the cost of operating that house? There's property taxes. There's going to be repairs.
Correct.
There's going to be so who pays property? Who pays costs? The owner always pays the cost of maintaining the property. So the IRA pays the property taxes,
Correct.
Pays the insurance, pays the maintenance.
Correct.
And so the IRA takes the place of the owner. Is the owner now? Now you mentioned going to Chicago Title. You're going to call us up and say, I want to buy the house at 123 Green Street, and we're going to ask you some questions, and we're going to send you a little piece of paper that says this is the house I want to buy, and we'll walk you through that process. But we're also going to say, where's the closing? And you're going to tell us it's going to be at a lawyer's office, it's going to be at a title company. We love it when you say title company, because we're going to call that title company, and we're going to say, you do know this individual is not buying that house. His IRA is buying that house. Here's how to title it. And then we will send them the titling. It would be your name, comma, IRA, comma, an account number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that way it doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter what happens to us.
It'd be a Roth, not a traditional, right?
It could be
either one.
Yeah.
Either one.
Hopefully a Roth, but any IRA.
Yeah.
Any IRA.
Would the loan be impacted? Let's say I get a loan from Chase or whoever.
Well, you know what?
Because now it's the IRA who owns a house.
That's right. So let's pause. This is a pivot point. The vast majority, this surprises people when I say this, but Kasia can confirm the truth of it. The vast majority of people who buy real estate with their IRA buy it for cash. By far, 90, 99 to 1.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
But those who use leverage, remember the borrower is the IRA, and so the IRA has got to qualify for the loan.
That's whose balance sheet is getting questioned.
That's right, not yours. You're not borrowing the money.
Oh shit!
And this and the shortcut, the vocabulary, we just say the loan must be non-recourse. The bank can only attach the asset if there's a failure to pay.
Got it.
They cannot attach you. You never bought that house.
Wow.
So again, if maybe you're looking at property and your IRA can't afford it, you might just have to stick, to the IRA's budget. So look somewhere else.
Budget, right.
It doesn't have to be in your neighborhood. It could be another state. It could be even in another country. Maybe look at mobile homes or something that your IRA could take advantage of.
Got
100%.
it. Got it. Because bringing leverage into the IRA could be tricky.
Well, it is tricky because leverage just increases risk.
Yeah.
And the more leverage you have, the more risk you have. So the vast majority of people who are some people think about a self-directed IRA, and again, if you talk to somebody who's selling stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and you say self-directed IRA, they're going to say, "Oh, those are very risky." Well, the reality is we deal with literally thousands of clients, hundreds of millions of dollars. I can tell you the overwhelming reason that a lot of people are in self-directed IRAs is because they want assets that are more conservative. They say, "I'm tired of the stock market. I'm tired of the ups and downs. I'm tired of worrying if Clinton is going to be impeached and Trump is going to be vilified."
All these guys, right?
Yeah.
Get me out of that.
Yeah, I really, really understand, mobile home parks. I'm going to invest in mobile home park. They're damn profitable.
Bizarre. Wow. And what I got to go back to this. Why do you guys keep saying hard lending?
Hard money lending. It's another investment.
It doesn't have to be a hard money loan, but we recommend a hard money loan. And does everyone know what a hard money loan is?
First, define it.
Okay.
I think of loan shark when I hear hard money loan.
Yeah, well, stop that. A hard money loan simply means
baby shark. Do you know what that is, Dennis?
I have no idea what that is.
Have you seen the video, Kasia?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a very popular toddler song, which I know every single word by heart because of my two kids. Mm-hmm. All right, that's called Baby Shark. All right, and there's a bunch of kids. For some reason, they're all Korean, and they all just walk around doing this. Baby Shark, do 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 do.
I'll show you on Monday
at
the next sales meeting.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So someone should put that YouTube video in their IRA because it's getting billions of views.
and I will tell you, copyrights are good.
No shit.
Sure.
Copyright can go into an IRA.
It's an investment for your future.
But again, it wouldn't be a copyright I currently own. That would get shady. I'd be buying a copyright.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. You were going to say
hard money lending.
Hard money lending.
So what is hard money lending? People do have this. There's some people who think of this loan shark. Hard money lending means there is a hard asset backing up the loan, right? All loans are either have security or they're a debenture. A debenture means there's no security. A loan with security has security. So,
example would be Adam Newman posting his shares of WeWork as collateral for a $500 million loan from JP Morgan.
That's a hard money loan.
Hard money loan.
Because there's a hard asset behind it. Now,
if they would have given him a line of credit without any asset tied to it.
That's debenture. No, there's no collateral.
Okay. Got it.
So the point is that when you are going to loan money from your IRA, so let's say you have X dollars in your IRA, you've been collecting rent on that property that you bought, or whatever it is, and there's some money there. It's not enough to buy another house, but somebody approaches you and says, "You know what? I'm a real estate developer, and I'm working on this project, and I'm $20,000 short. I need $20,000." And you say, "I don't have $20,000, but wait a minute, there's $20,000 in my 401k, in my IRA, I should say. Can you loan that money to that person?" And the answer, of course, is yes, you can. That's an investment for your future. And
wow, you give them $20,000 from your IRA.
And then what do you want? What are we going to suggest you get? Collateral. That made it a hard money loan.
Got it. Okay. So now you have rights to the title of that home.
Or whatever collateral you are willing to accept. I mean, we've had people accept, all kinds of collateral. But, yeah. So that would be lending. So, the interesting thing about lending to real estate developers is the people that you see that do buy, fix, flip, they all have the same disorder. And
what's that?
And I've never met one that doesn't have the same disorder.
What is it?
They have the $20,000 disease. Every one of them. They have done
$20,000 short.
They've done their budget 10,000 times from hell and back again, and then they come up 20,000 short. And they get to the point that they realize that, and they know that
the $20,000 disorder.
If they can get the $20,000, they can finish the deal and make $80,000.
Right.
How much interest are they willing to pay for 20?
A lot.
Damn right.
Loan shark, baby.
And you're going to, we're going to see high interest rates.
Right.
Because we're lending to people who are, I don't want to say desperate, but they are, they've painted themselves into a box.
Yes.
What they've done. And so, and then we say, look, it's get collateral. Now,
so then you give them the $20,000.
The IRA gives
the IRA gives them $20,000. Thank you. And then after 6 months, they give you $30,000
or whatever we do.
Back to the IRA.
You back to the IRA. The IRA is now $10,000 richer, and that $10,000 zero tax gets paid upon it.
Of course.
Until if it's a Roth,
then never.
Never. No one should ever lend anyone money ever again except through a Roth IRA.
Absolutely.
I mean, here's a stupid thing. Okay, let's say this came to me. The developer came to me, the guy with the $20,000 disorder, and I'm like, "Yo, I've got $20,000 in my regular checking account. I'm gonna open a Roth, put the 20 in there, and lend it to you from that IRA."
Yes, that's fine.
Really? I haven't ruffled anyone's feathers in Washington?
Well, no. You mean you'll make a contribution to your Roth?
But yeah,
there's a limit.
Hit a point. And this is a very, very important point that we're coming to right here. And that is, how do you get the money into the IRA to do these things?
Mm-hmm. That's what I call you.
And well, I'll tell you, I can give it to you very, very simple. And some of it you won't like. The vast majority of people who start one of these accounts are people who have an old IRA that, has been flopping around, and they say, I'm just tired of the stock market, or I don't own the stock market anymore, whatever they're thinking. And so they want to open an IRA, so they'll just transfer money. Now they may have, $50,000, $100,000, whatever they've got in their IRA, they'll transfer it. And the transfer is easy. The transfer is not a taxable event. There's no cost to the transfer. We'll do the transfer for you. And then that money can be invested. So that's one way. That's the most common. The next most common is somebody who's worked for a company for a long time,
right?
And they've got this old 401k. And they got that letter from the company that says, you have this old 401k, you have now left the company.
The rollover letter.
The rollover letter that says, you can leave it with us.
What do you want to do?
You can check this box, and we'll buy an annuity on your behalf.
Adam Newman is getting one of these letters right now because he just left, because he just got fired from me.
He is. And number 3, you can take a distribution, or number 4, you can transfer. So we say check the box that says transfer, and that stodgy old 401k that you had that was creeping along, now you're going to invest it in things that you think are more beneficial, more profitable,
right?
And it's going to start to grow faster. So the vast majority of people who start an account start with either rolling in an IRA or rolling in an old retirement account. Now, the person who starts from scratch, he's different, because IRAs are interesting in that there are no limits anywhere. There's no limits on how big it can get. There's no limits on how much you can roll. There's no limits on.
This is Roth or traditional?
They're all the same.
All of both.
Yeah,
and this is. In a rollover situation or any situation?
Let me finish.
Okay.
So there's no limits on how big it gets. There's no limits on how much you can roll over. There's no limits on lots of things. There's only one place where there's a limit, and there's got to be a choke point, and that choke point is contribution. And the contribution is limited to right now $6,000 or $7,000, depending on your age.
Per year.
Right. So. And there's got to
really low, right?
Well, it's got to be. They've got to have a limit someplace, because if they didn't have a limit, and again, it sounds like I'm defending the Internal Revenue Service, but they're really right. If it didn't have a limit, people would take all their money, throw it in an IRA every day,
right,
and then never pay income tax.
So wait, how did Peter Thiel get to $1 billion?
That's a great question. He had the same limits, contribution limits as you and me.
Okay, so how did he get there?
What he invested in, what he used it for.
Exactly right.
So he
had
his
the
Roth
same limits.
This is Roth or traditional, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're saying
I can tell you what Peter invested in.
what?
Peter had a friend. He was not involved in it himself, which made who started a software company, and that software company had a name. It was called PayPal.
And Elon Musk.
And 6 years later, it was sold to who was it that bought PayPal? But
eBay.
Thank you. And for billions and billions of dollars.
Right.
And
so he might have been putting $6,000 of eBay of PayPal shares in his account for years.
No, actually, what he was doing was he had worked for another company, and so he had a 401k to roll over. So he rolled a 401k because he had left the other company. He had a 401k to roll.
That might have already had 200, 300,
Sure.
400
Yeah.
grand in it.
400 grand in it, yeah.
And he put all of that 400 grand probably in PayPal.
Yeah.
Got it. So he had a balance from before.
And he has made, and I will tell you because I know he's made very successful investments since, but I have never met a person with a $100 million IRA. I've met lots of people with $100 million IRAs. I've never met a person with a $100 million IRA who said, I made it in mutual funds.
Yeah, correct.
It doesn't happen.
So you're saying everyone starts out early on with this $6,000 contribution. Your first day of your IRA is boring. Your second year of your IRA, probably boring. But year 5, year 10, as the stock market goes up, and you
know what? Your second year, once you've got $12,000 in that IRA, you could be doing mobile homes. Mm-hmm. You could be doing hard money loans. You could be doing Kasia said it before. You find an investment that fits your budget.
Wait, so you're saying 12. Okay, so let's go with your example. Year 2, you got $12,000 in there, and you decide to say done with stocks for those 2 years, or for those 13 months I've had it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to purchase a mobile home.
Mm-hmm. Now, with $12,000, you're going to buy a pretty rundown mobile home,
right?
And rehab it. But
okay, and you buy it for $12,000. Does the IRA have to rehab it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to buy it for less than 12 because you're going to give yourself enough budget.
Let's call it 8, and you put $4,000
have some cushion in there. Yeah.
And then
rehab it,
and then it'll generate rent, presumably.
Well, it can generate rent, but more likely going to flip a mobile home.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I don't want to be cruel, but the reason is mobile home tenants, aren't necessarily the best tenants.
Gotcha.
And so
what you want to do is buy it, fix it, flip it.
Yeah, I better sell it.
And so that might sell for 15 or 20.
Yeah.
Yep.
And boom.
The idea is just to keep doing it over and over again, and then continue to contribute, grow your IRA, and then maybe, in a few years there'll be a single family home and then a multi-unit complex and then
$300,000
syndications and again,
you get lucky here and there and it doubles. All right, I got you. And then when you get to the point is to get it wherever you are, depends on where you're at. It could be mobile homes, but it could be something way bigger if you've over the years been wise about utilizing the power of your IRA. Mm-hmm. And so then, let's say I have been wise, and it's a Roth or traditional. You're saying that, no, it depends on which one. So let's say Peter Thiel. Do you know if it's in his Roth or traditional?
I know it's in his Roth.
Does that mean then when he decides to go take withdrawals, he will not pay any tax?
That is correct.
Correct.
Beginning 59.5. Mm-hmm.
Correct.
0 tax on $1 billion. Mm-hmm. Gangster.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart. That's smart. Okay,
but I also want to point out, we're talking about this like it's science fiction. All the people who make the most money are who? The people who follow the rules. That rule has been there, for decades and decades.
I wonder how much is in Warren Buffett's IRA.
All could be. I don't even know if he has money.
He might not. No, he does.
He hasn't called me. But
just you wait, Dennis.
Yeah, put him on our mailing list. But the point is that Peter Thiel didn't do anything special. These people that we deal with all day long that have $100 million IRAs, they're not doing anything special. They're just following the rules. There's no, you keep using the word gangster. There's no gangster involved. This is the rule. The rule is, again, go back to the 3 things the tax code is supposed to do.
Right.
And one of them is to encourage people to encourage people to do things that society wants them to do.
Man, I've always felt some sort of handcuffs since I started my JP Morgan 401k, whatever, 15, 20 years ago. Always, I'm like, yeah, well, $6,000 a year. What? There's nothing I can do with that. So I'm just going to ignore that thing and just let it build. And it has built to something. I don't know what it is right now. I got to look at it. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, my mind is spinning right now. I'm like, yo, I need to sell whatever stocks I have and put that money into a, I don't know, 2-flat building or whatever.
But Kasia said it before, into an investment that you understand.
Yeah.
So you can ask the right questions, do your homework, do your due diligence.
I want to use it to flip something.
Right. And the people we see that get hurt, and some people get hurt, are the ones who bought something they didn't understand. I really didn't understand that.
I should stay away from login rights.
Well, sure, exactly. And right now we have, there are people who are putting, crazy money into
crypto.
Right. Marijuana dispensaries.
Oh, yeah, that
cannabis too?
Cannabis, yeah. And will they do well? I don't know.
Be careful, right?
I'm happier when I see somebody do something that is more traditional, just as more conservative.
How about now traditional versus Roth? So let's say John wants to do an IRA tomorrow, so he's at 22, I'm at 40. What would you recommend for? I only have a traditional, by the way, because mine was originally a 401k.
Sure. Correct.
So I don't think I've ever opened up a Roth. What do you recommend for John? What do you recommend for me? What do you recommend for someone who's 60 or maybe 50?
It's a great question.
There is no question for John. We would just open a Roth. We probably wouldn't even, I don't want to say we wouldn't give him a choice. We would tell him he had a choice, but we'd say, but you're going to do a Roth, buddy.
And again, Roth, tell me the definition of Roth in very simple terms.
So Roth, okay. The IRA, Congress is so dedicated to you making money that with the traditional IRA, what it says was you get a tax deduction when you make a contribution. So let's say you made $50,000 this year, and you made a $5,000 contribution to a traditional IRA. You would pay tax like you made $45,000. Wasn't that nice? Right. And now that $5,000 is in the IRA, but because you never paid tax, you don't have basis, and you never built basis. So now you invested your 55555. And pretty soon the account's worth $100,000. And you want to
in what kind of IRA?
Traditional.
Traditional, got it.
And now you're of an age you'd say, I just want to take my $100,000 out. Well, the IRS says there was no basis. So I'm taking out $100,000. What's the taxable income? $100,000.
Right.
And so Congress is so anxious for us to build up these accounts that they created the Roth IRA, which came a little later. And the Roth IRA said, tell you what, we'll give you another deal. If you didn't like that deal, look at this deal. And this deal is we won't give you a deduction when you make a contribution.
Correct. So on the same $50,000 of income,
you will still pay tax if you made $50,000, even though you put $5,000 into your Roth IRA.
So your $50,000 now becomes $38,000 after tax.
Yeah. Or no. 50. Well, the $5,000 you put in for several years. It grows to whatever.
But I mean, the $5,000 is now post-tax.
It's still you put the same $5,000 in both accounts.
Correct.
One of them gave you a deduction, so you only pay tax on 45.
Correct.
The Roth didn't give you the deduction.
Correct. That's what I meant. So
pay a little more income tax.
Right. Exactly. The $50,000 in income I made, let's say, or John made, will get taxed at his bracket. Let's say 25%. 25% of $50,000 is $12,500.
$1,250.
$12,500, right?
No, $5,000.
We're talking about $5,000 contribution.
Well, but the way I'm thinking about it, go with me for a second, is he makes $50,000. Mm-hmm. He has to pay tax fully on that $50,000. He's now down to $37,500 total.
The difference will be about $1,250 between the two of them.
Is that right? $1,250. Okay, so about $1,000. He pays a little more, $1,000 in tax. Mm-hmm. But now the $5,000 he puts in will never get taxed.
Correct.
Ever.
And everything it earns will never get taxed.
And everything. Wow, that's
and then
powerful.
whatever, if he leaves that to his children or grandchildren or spouse, that will not be taxed as well.
Because it's a Roth.
Right. It is,
and they inherit that
giant tax benefit. So let's say he bought, something that went up crazy in value. He bought Amazon stock in 1998, and it's worth a lot of money. And he takes the money out. If he takes it out of a Roth, it's not a taxable event.
Can you put Bitcoin these days in a Roth?
You know what? Yes, you can. We don't take it at our company.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay.
We don't take it. But that's up to the company. The company's always allowed to decide what they'll accept. we won't accept it because we just cannot feel comfortable with the valuation. Not the valuation, is it too expensive, too cheap, but what's your investment worth today? There's a posted price, but then you try to sell it, and the market isn't there.
Okay.
So with the Roth versus traditional, you either pay taxes at the beginning or at the end. Both are tax free during the growth and all the investing. So all the profit is tax free. With a Roth, you pay taxes at the beginning, and then with the traditional, you pay taxes at the end when you take the funds out.
If a person had to pick, you obviously would recommend a Roth only.
And even for you at your age, and even for someone that's 60.
Roth.
If you can, yeah.
And then what about someone who can afford whatever? Would you recommend they open up both?
Well, it doesn't matter because you can't, the contribution limits.
Oh, it's going to be $6,000
total. Doesn't matter how many accounts you have.
That's per individual.
So who should ever open up a traditional?
Oh, I would be hard pressed to find anybody.
Okay, so if I have a traditional,
you have one because of the old 401k.
Correct.
Because it's essentially,
and you could convert it.
You can convert it if you wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah.
How big of a hit would I take?
You would take a hit on the total value. So
I have to pay tax basically.
On your tax depends on your tax bracket.
Yeah.
Right?
So what a lot of people do, and we obviously we deal with this every week. That a lot of people say, "Gee, I've got $300,000 in my traditional IRA. I want a Roth IRA now that I understand it, but I can't afford the tax hit on $300,000. Can I?"
Tax bracket on $300,000 would be the highest tax bracket, right?
Well,
one of the highest.
One of the higher ones. Yeah.
34, 36, whatever.
But the point is,
boom, I lose $100,000 right off the bat.
Yeah, you don't lose. I don't think you lose it. I don't think it's that way. I think you get to pay the tax early, so that from now on there is no tax going forward. It's a great deal. But people say I can't afford to pay the tax on that amount of conversion. So can I convert it in pieces? Can I have $50,000 this year?
Nice.
Next year, $50,000. Yeah. It is the government wants you to do these things.
Right. Okay.
So they make it easy.
Okay, makes sense. Got hard money lending. Any other ways that you see very clearly that people do out there that are ripe for people making basically free money?
Well, the hard money lenders is an easy one, an obvious one. Any real estate product. There are people who say, I want to own real estate, but I don't want to own real estate. So they can invest in a real estate syndication. And there are many, many fine real estate syndications. We have a lot of people, and it's just, you just get a group of people. We have a lot of people who've invested in life settlements. Which is maybe people don't even know that
life settlements.
Life settlements. You know what that is? Okay, life settlements is an interesting.
Something freaky is about to happen. I feel
interesting. No, it's a very interesting investment. It's a rapidly growing investment. The largest two owners of life settlement policies in America are Warren Buffett and Blackstone. So this is a rock solid investment. So let's say that a person has an insurance policy. You got $1 million insurance policy.
Life insurance?
Yeah. And you bought this life insurance when you were 30 because you had young children and you...
Which I did. All of this is exactly what I did.
And one day you wake up and you're 60 years old and the kids are grown.
Oh, but it's not whole. Mine is term.
Oh, okay. This will happen with whole.
This only happens with whole.
With whole.
Thank you.
Any kind of whole, but there's got to be a cash value to it. And so you say, you know what? I don't need this policy anymore. So people who say, I don't know, why am I paying on this insurance policy? They tend to do one of two things. The vast majority of them just stop paying. It's the dumbest thing you can possibly do because eventually the policy will run out and you paid all those premiums and you got nothing left. And the insurance company loves it. The insurance company doesn't even call you and say, "Ooh, where's your money?"
A lot of people just stop paying?
They just stop paying.
Do you know what percentage?
I don't have a percentage, but it's over half.
Oh my God! Why'd they buy it in the first place?
Well, because when they bought it, they needed it,
right?
And they said, "Gee, I don't need it now."
Dang!
And so they stopped paying.
Poor kids aren't going to get the money.
What happened to the insurance company? They collected all those premiums, never had to pay anything.
They're happy.
They're very happy. So there's another group, a smaller group, that will cash in the policy because if you read the policy, it says
you can cash in early, right?
Right. Yeah. There's cash surrender value. And you look at the cash surrender value, and it's pretty menial. It's a very small amount. However, it's better than zero. So you say, well, I had $1 million policy and I got $30,000 for turning it in. The insurance company is ecstatic.
Yeah.
They paid you $30,000 and saved $1 million claim.
Yeah.
Okay.
$970,000 gain.
But the courts have ruled that an insurance policy is an asset. And if you own an insurance policy, it's an asset. Can you sell your asset?
From whose perspective? Me, the individual?
Yeah, you, the individual.
It's an asset for me. It's liability for the
Insurance company.
Got it. So can I sell that asset?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Of course. So let's say you're 72 years old and you have this bad cough. I don't think you're going to be around a long time. And you say, I've got $1 million policy.
Told you some sneaky shit's about to happen.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pay you $200,000. I know they'll pay $30,000 cash.
Dennis will pay Amr $200,000?
Yeah.
And then what? You'll take it and put it in your name?
And then, no.
It stays in my name, right?
I'll leave it in your name. I just want to do...
You become the beneficiary.
I'll do two things. One is I'm going to also not guarantee, but I will pay all the premiums because you're paying. It's a whole life policy. I'll pay the premiums until you die. I don't know how long that'll be, but I'll pay them.
Your cough sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. And two, I'll make myself the beneficiary.
Damn.
It's called life settlements. It is a rapidly growing investment.
How do we find those people with the cough and they're going to stop paying the payments?
There are thousands.
Well, if more than half of people stop paying their whole life payments,
it's just because
you just got to pick up the phone.
Yeah, it's just because they don't know.
Wow.
And there are agents out there right now doing that.
We need a life settlement club.
You can start that.
We can start that, yeah. Go ahead, start that.
Okay, so you're saying life settlements are also a good thing to put into the IRA.
So
but again, you got to have the $200,000 in the IRA before you do that.
Well, you know what? What happens as a practical matter is you're an agent, somebody's an agent, they bought 10 policies, and they package those 10 policies, 12 policies, 15 policies into a package, and they'll say this package is worth this much money, and you'll buy $50,000 of that package or $40,000 of package, and I'll buy this much of that. And then that person is going to administer the package, and every time there is a policy is matured, isn't that a nice way to say the person died?
Matured.
Every time the policy is matured.
Every time a person's life has matured.
Yeah. Oh, the first couple they'll hold the proceeds of the sale. Why? Because they want to have money to pay the future premiums on the ones that didn't die. But by the second or third one,
you start getting payment.
There's so much money coming in compared to the premiums that have to go out that they start distributing it.
Now that's buying life settlements through Blackstone and Warren Buffett.
Well, actually, they don't. They hold them. They don't even sell them.
Okay, got it. We'd have to find them ourselves.
Yeah, but they're companies that we list of them.
Got it. So I'd reach out to that company, tell them I want to buy some of your life settlements.
Yeah,
using my IRA.
Using my IRA.
Yeah.
Right, and I could do it as much as $6,000 a year. As simple as that.
I don't know anybody's going to take a $6,000 investment.
So they need something bigger.
Yeah. I don't want to say no, but $6,000 investment.
Settlements, baby. That's where it's at.
There's so many different creative investments. I mean, the list. We can be here all night talking about
all the things you see.
We've talked a little bit about real estate, and then Airbnbs are really hot right now, and just mango tree farms, Christmas tree farms. I mean, the list goes on.
Wow. Wow. But again, the key is getting started early to build that $6,000 up so that hopefully it can double as much as possible.
Well, in your case, you already
have something to work with.
You already have.
Yeah,
you have that old.
Well, see, it seems to me the wiser thing is to convert the traditional, because I can't do a lot of that. I could do a lot of that in the traditional. But then
you can do all of it.
But I'll get hit later with the taxes.
Yeah,
which is fine too. I mean, you're still growing tax free, and it's probably growing quicker than what it's doing right now.
Right. Correct. It's just starting. What you guys are inviting me to do, and inviting all the listeners to do, is start to get more creative with using the cash in an IRA or the money in an IRA. Get more creative with it, because there's lots of opportunity to take some risk. Some will win. Those that win, you don't end up paying tax, especially if it's in the Roth.
I mean, how many people have looked at their IRA statement
and just toss it
and said to themselves, "Shit, I could do better than this."
Oh, you mean return wise?
Yeah,
not many. I don't think many. You know why, Dennis? I think most people basically have the default. Oh, I could do better than this. I mean, I think what they're thinking is, I'm just getting the standard S&P 10% a year. That's what they're thinking, right?
And that could well be true. We're saying, hey, look, you can do anything you want.
Right. That's what you're saying is, hey, think beyond the 10%.
Right.
That's what you're saying is think mango farms, baby. Hard money lending. That's what you're thinking. All right. So where can people learn more about IRA Club? Give us the plug, baby.
Sure. So check out our website. It's www.iraclub.org. We have a lot of great videos, blogs. There's information about us, our contact information. You can also call us at 312-795-0988. We're located downtown Chicago, so if you ever want to come by, come to the office.
Why.org? Are you a for-profit or not?
It started as a club.
I understand. And have you not converted to a for-profit?
Well, basically, I didn't want to change the letterhead. You know, I had $50 tied up in letterhead. And
But wait, no, it's not technically a non-profit. How is it formed?
It's a for-profit company.
Got it.
But you know, we've retained.
You left it that on.
We had the website. We just kept it.
Perfect. That's clear. And you guys really need to tie up with some of these nightclubs and really get this thing going. One last question. Are you seeing a shift in millennials jumping into IRAs, or do you see it as a sad reality that this is not a thing people in their 20s and 30s are after?
I'm going to give you a sad answer, and the sad answer is I can't give you a good answer because, as a practical matter, we don't market to that group.
Oh,
as a practical, and not because they're bad or anything else. Is these things work best for people who have that starter cash? You have a 401k to bring over. You have an IRA to bring over. And so when we see a room filled with people who are in their 20s, they have nothing to bring over, and they're the $6,000 startups that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But if you see a room full of people who have money to bring over, they're ripe. They can see the possibilities.
Right.
And so that's who we talk to.
So I encourage them again to continue to contribute to their 401ks, be educated, plant that seed, and then we'll see them in a few years.
Right. It seems like you guys, when they build up, it's when the smart time is. Makes sense. Kasha, Dennis, IRA Club, baby. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. We are out. Peace.
Thanks.
Peace out.